Hello and welcome to Explore Analytics. Today we're going to take a look at a very common reporting challenge within ServiceNow, defining a backlog report. We're going to use Explore Analytics, a live, natively integrated cloud business intelligence platform, to easily define this in a self-service way. To create the backlog report is going to be a two-step process. First, we need to know how many active tasks there are right now for the current backlog. Then we're going to snapshot that data over time so we can track the backlog over time. So first, we're going to start by creating a new view in my ServiceNow data source on the incident table. And this could be the HR case or the service catalog table, but for right now, we'll focus on incident. We're going to make that a pivot report called My Backlog Input. And I'll click Finish. So this is what we're going to use to track what the currently open incidents are in the backlog. So first, we want to click Filter Data and select Active is True. That's going to give us just the currently active incidents. Now you can add additional filters if you wanted to restrict that further, but for right now we're just going to do Active is True. Next, we're going to want to group this backlog by the different categories we're going to want to report on later. You can put as many as you want in at this point. You're not going to show all of this at once, we're just using this to collect data. So I'll say assignment group and category and priority. And I'm going to click on this values and relabel it to be backlog, just so that we make sure we can understand this later. So now I have a view that's showing for the currently active incidents, by group, by category, and by priority, how many currently there are in the backlog. Now that we have this, we're going to want to be able to trend this over time, because this is going to continue to change and the data isn't stored within ServiceNow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Track Trend. You'll see that I can now name the table that we're saving this to, so it's going to be called My Backlog Trend. And that's going to create a table within Explore Analytics that stores the results of this report. And when I click Next, I'm going to say on what schedule I want to capture this. Is it going to be a daily backlog, a weekly backlog, a monthly backlog? For right now, I'm going to select week, and I'm going to have it go every Sunday at midnight. So at the very beginning of Sunday, we're going to capture this information. And when I click Finish, we've now scheduled this. So on that schedule that we defined every week, it's going to snapshot the data that's in this report, save it to Explore Analytics so that we can track that over time. Now, if I go to Admin, Track Trend Jobs, I can look here. This is the list of trends, and this is my backlog trend. What I'm going to do for right now, just so that I can show you what it's done, is I'm going to go and click Run Now. So it's asking me to run this outside of the schedule. And now I can click on this table, the My Backlog Trend table, and it's prompting me to create a new view. So let's pause for a second. I have a new table that's within the Explore data source, so locally stored, that says that on this date and time, for this assignment group, category, and priority, this is the number of incidents that were in the backlog. And every week it's going to add new rows that capture the new data. So now if I wanted to look at this as a chart, I can say show this to me as a timeline. I'm going to group this by week. Rather than showing the count, I want to drag the backlog. So there's sum of backlog. And I want to group this, let's say, by priority. So you'll see that I have a number of different data points that show this is what the backlog was at this given time. Now every week we're going to add new data points and it's going to become a line. So we now have our backlog report ready to go. If I already have some historical data that I want to add to this, I can upload a spreadsheet or connect to a data source that already has some of that data. So let's say I have a CSV file. I'm going to go click Upload a Data File. I'm going to select a data file. And this historical backlog CSV, that's going to have the data that we already have, and I want to put it on the table my backlog trend. It's going to prompt me and say this table already exists, so I can add to the data, replace the data, or create a new table. Right now I'm going to replace the existing data, so it'll clear out what we ran, and I'm going to click OK. It's going to make sure that I have those fields set correctly, and when I click OK, it's going to load that historical data. So now I can go back to that view we were just looking at before, and you'll see I now have that weekly trend, but with some more data points. So if you've already been tracking the backlog in Excel or in another data source, you can use that to get started quickly. And by clicking Choose Fields, I can select here, group by week, and I could say group this for me rather by assignment group, or group it to me by category, or I can group it with multiple. So you see that by tracking that data we were tracking before, it gives me a lot of options in terms of how I want to be able to track this moving forward. Now that I have this report, I can publish it to ServiceNow by going to File, Publish. If I select Live, it's going to continue to update every week as that report gets updated. I say I'd like to publish it to my ServiceNow instance. I can show or hide any of these options, but I'm just going to click Finish. And now this report that I've built is available in ServiceNow. I also have a link that I can send it to people, or I can just come to my ServiceNow dashboard, go to Explore Analytics, and then find my backlog trend and add it where I want on the dashboard. So now I have a report that's going to be updated weekly. It's interactive, so the users can see, show, and hide data based on what they're interested in, or see it as a bar or as an area chart. So it makes it very easy for users to interact with the data and get what they need out of it. One thing I want to reiterate is everything that we've just seen doesn't require an administrator. It doesn't require any JavaScript or any setup within ServiceNow. Any user that has entitlement can create one of these reports, get it on their dashboard, and have it be very interactive for the users. Thank you for joining us and seeing how to make an intuitive, easy backlog report. You can go to our website to find out more about the solution, check out other videos on this YouTube channel, or see the demo site to see Explore Analytics in action.